All right, my name is Megan Riley.
I'm Sarah Gallman.
And I'm Janie Moats.
I'm Lorraine. I'm Lorraine Teeley.
And my name is Celeste Wilkinson.
All right, let me get these slides started and we'll tell you all about our great program. All right. So, our program is, our group is planning an intervention aimed at treatment and prevention of intestinal parasites in the population of Roatan, Honduras. Our narrowed target population is expectant mothers and children because their health is most affected by these parasites. In this report, we will present background information regarding the problem, give a description of our intervention, and explain specific measures that we have incorporated into our project to break down encountered barriers. Through this process, we hope to present a successful intervention for parasites in Roatan, Honduras. All right, so hookworm, whipworm, and ascaris are classified as helminths and account for a major burden of disease worldwide. We chose to concentrate close to home in the country of Honduras. We wanted to verify that there truly was a need in Honduras, so our research assured us that helminths currently pose a problem. Physical symptoms might include vague to severe abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, or bloody stools with worms present in discharge, weight loss, and the development of anemia and protein deficiency. Rectal prolapse can also occur, and heavy infection in children can lead to severe anemia, growth retardation, and impaired cognitive development. Children may lose hope, confidence, and opportunity as persistent problems occur. When children are continuously affected by many worms, the loss of iron and protein can retard growth and mental development. This leads us to the obvious toll on education for a child with a heavy infestation. Children who don't feel well are absent from school, and when they don't come, when they do come, they are often functioning at a lower capacity than they could be. All right, so the warm environment means these worms are breeding quickly in contaminated soil. Sanitation is a huge factor, as these worms are spread from person to person by fecal-oral transmission through feces contaminated food. So Honduras has a problem with their urban and rural sanitation and could use some help in those areas. Treatment for these parasitic worms is effective, affordable, and with few apparent side effects. Unfortunately, many people in Honduras lack access to the basic health care.
We propose an intervention aimed at treatment and education surrounding helminth infestations. Our proposed intervention involves forging partnerships with those who have same goals as us to eliminate and prevent diseases in Roatan, Honduras. With transportation being an issue for most people on the island, treatments need to be brought to the people if we are to reach everyone. To best assess this problem, we have come up with an idea of a medical vehicle that will broadcast a familiar tune, similar to the concept of an ice cream truck. On the vehicle, there will be medical personnel to administer parasite treatment to the people. After the people receive their medication, they will be given a lollipop to encourage them to keep coming. There will also be an educational team who offers games and team games and encourages the children to bring their friends and to promote it to those who are unaware of the medical vehicle. The medical vehicle will also stop in central locations once a month to set up a fair. At this fair, there will be educational classes on how to avoid getting these diseases through safe cooking and proper hygiene. There will also be interactive games for the children to help them to learn and get involved as well.
No program can be successful without funding. We will be receiving our funding through several means. One, we will set up websites in wealthier nations and ask for donations. The other is that we will be seeking grants from established foundations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has a great interest in two areas that will help us. One is the delivery of the intervention. We would use their money to help buy our vehicles and provide maintenance and fuel. Another, they have great interest in updating how medical records are kept in developing countries. And we have a great intervention for that we think they'd be interested in funding. The Rockefeller Foundation also provides funding for delivery of health interventions, and we would use their funding also to help with our vehicles and with the barriers for road maintenance. End7 is an organization that would provide the medical, the drug interventions. They partner with other countries or with other organizations to help in the delivery of that, and that is where we have a lot of strength. Next slide. Parental consent for treatment is always important. So in order to do that, we'll be mindful that our intervention follows established safety, medical, and ethical guidelines when administering all medications. We'd follow the established laws set by the Honduran government, which would include getting informed consent by parents. A child would need to bring a parent to attend the first session and so they can consent to the intervention. After that, the child will not need to come with the parent because they will be in our medical record system. But if a child does come and they don't have parental consent, they can still be involved in the educational activities and take that education back to their families. Next slide. Because we would be dealing with children, we wanted to make sure that we have a great system and plan to avoid double treatment. That is why we would use funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to develop a digital facial recognition software for our medical records. Because monitoring and recording the health status of children is crucial for measuring improvements, antiquated paper systems used in most developing countries are not sufficient. So when the child or adult first consents to participate in an intervention, they would be photographed and registered in our health recording system. This is very easy. It can be done just on a little iPad with their picture, because this type of facial recognition software is already incorporated into Facebook and several other online photo type of websites. That it will be very easy to integrate that into our system and part of our records, and we think it'll fit greatly with our intervention. Next slide.
Honduras has a reputation, to be sure, for violence. They're among the highest rated, as far as murder rate goes. They're up there, always on the list, usually #1 on the list of highest murder rate. So in order to combat that, we're going to have to work with our partners who understand the threats that we're up against. Through working with them, we can understand the potential danger and set policy and things. We will address employee safety, and that will be a really big concern for us. We will choose modest equipment to help us to avoid situations that kind of tempt people to steal. We will stow those valuables, like Lorraine talked about, the equipment for facial recognition. We would stow that. Our ethical concerns, we know that people have problems, and that people will likely come to us with asking us to help with things we can't help them with. So we'll stick to the scope of our intervention. We'll focus on our educational goals and refer patients to the hospital or clinic for any things that are outside the scope of our intervention. We'll have a written ethical code, and our employees will all be very aware of what we can and cannot do. We are very concerned with provident living. We want to focus on the education and the sanitation and work with our upstream partners. We want to gain governmental support. When we were first doing this, we wanted to avoid the government, but in our research through the class, we realized that successful interventions involve governmental support. So we would like to work on that. We want to gain the community support. So this is something that they can take ownership of, that it can last well beyond the initial stages. We would select a community staff and make that a a huge priority to train from within. And we would want to stimulate the local economy through purchasing local supplies instead of having a lot of stuff shipped in.
Dealing with the foreign government can be tricky. We need to present it in a way that they feel like they get something out of it or that their government can benefit from it instead of feeling like we are corrupting it. The best way to do that is to get ideas or tips from local organizations to proceed and to work with a partner who already has access to the country through the government. Slide. Like we've heard earlier, Honduras has a high murder and crime rate, so there is bound to be a lot of corruption. We need to make sure that we obey established laws that are in the government in the country, and we need to work with established and local organizations to help people. We need to make sure that we're not participating in any type of corruption, like bribing officials. And we also need to keep track of all our resources, which includes audits on materials and supplies, and we need to make sure that we are doing that often and not just like once a month. Slide. Upstream interventions are interventions that work to eliminate certain diseases for good. We would want to implement this to help prevent this disease and eliminate it. The best way to do that would be to partner with sanitation organizations like Water for Roatan. We could also advertise their services as well. Slide.
We recognize and appreciate the tremendous value tied to our working with established organizations. These partnerships are integral to our success. Our goal is to establish professional rapport, allowing us to maintain mutually beneficial relationships. One possible barrier to our success could be poor communication. Slide. Communication is key to maintaining healthy relationships, while miscommunications can lead to unmet expectations, which can disrupt or harm relationships. To avoid this detriment, we will make regular and clear communications a priority. We will ask for feedback from our partners to ensure we are meeting their expectations while checking in with them on a regular and set schedule to ascertain if there are opportunities for us to serve them. This way, they will value our willingness to reciprocate as we work together to help the people of Roatan. Slide. Becoming overly busy and not staying organized can preclude necessary follow-through actions. Failure to follow through can prove detrimental to the success of our program. To stay clear from this potential barrier, we will create and use a Gantt chart to keep our work, progress, and timeliness easy to see and manage. Keeping the chart posted and updated will allow all members of our team to follow through with tasks and to stay on top of deadlines. We will also include periodic evaluations among our mandatory tasks. Evaluations are critical to keeping our program on track by allowing us to discern areas for improvement among our successes, resulting in opportunities to appropriately adjust our intervention as needed. These evaluations will also serve to keep our shareholders current with the feedback of interest to them. Slide. Roatan has one main road that spans most of the length of the island. It is paved, and from it branches various unpaved roads. Next slide. As of March 2015, the mayor and municipal corporation are working on patching the streets. We recognize many roads are not yet suited for our SUV and have determined to address this logistics barrier by securing alternative transportation. We have 4 mountain bikes to allow us to reach rural and remote residents in need. Next.
Recruiting and retaining volunteers. To do this, we thought that we'd use resources that we already have, such as using the locals and hiring them at the local rate for Honduras and what's going. Also, to work with religious organizations and nonprofit organizations, and to also use our communities and get them involved. Slide. We also want to appeal to the fun aspect in learning, and we plan to make a promising curriculum that includes team games, creative thinking, experiments, and review games. Slide. We also need to combat the cultural differences, and we plan to do some research and to teach our volunteers what we've learned and how to work with the different cultures, to also work closely with local partners and have programs with focus groups in the population. slide.
The success of any country lies with the health of its children. Our intervention will help to improve the health of the children of Honduras by giving them the medications that they need to prevent these intestinal parasites so that they can grow healthy and strong and reach their full potential. We feel that we will be very successful and it'll be a great blessing to the children of Roatan. Thank you for listening to our oral report.